And with that, I have permission. At the risk of being an unoriginal content creator, I am of course going to unabashedly steal from Riff on this one because I really enjoyed his latest kind of series of videos over on Pixel Plus, where he's talking about what are his 10 best X games of all time. And we're talking NES today. And the qualifier here is not the ones that are always considered the best. Like, my list, kind of like what he said in his video, is going to be very different from yours. And the shirt is not a clue. Kirby, not on my list. A lot of stuff not going to be on this list that you're not going to see. Like, there's not going to be Metroid. There's not going to be any Zeldas or anything like that. These are the games that I consistently play regularly on my NES. The ones that I go back to. The ones that, to me, matter the most. The ones that are the best. These are the best NES games of all time. And we're going to kick things off. One of my favorites, and I brought props, so yeah, of course, we're going to show them off here. And that was the other side of it, too, is I kind of wanted to limit it to games I physically own, games I actually have. There are other ones I could have put on this list, but the ones, I wanted to keep it to ones I actually have, so I could display the cartridge, talk about it a little bit more in depth, and go from there. But the number 10 on my list is Power Blade. And Power Blade is one of those incredibly unique games that really just kind of hit me at the right time in my life. It's a little bit Mega Man, it's a little bit Castlevania, it's a lot 1980s action movie, and it's a ridiculous concept, right? Like, it's a platformer where you play some kind of paramilitary guy whose entire weapon system is a boomerang. It's dumb. It's an idiotic idea on paper, but it works. It works incredibly well. The game is super fun. It's incredibly well designed. The level layouts and the actual combat in the game are really well done. It's got a good challenge. It's got a good design. It's got great music. Like, it hits kind of... It really kind of hits every note. And I think that's the most important thing, is it's one that I can play that at any time. It's not one that I have to be in the mood for. I can just pop it in and I'm good. I have an absolute blast playing it every time I do. Number 9 on the list is one of the best games, in my opinion, on the NES. It has, obviously, that's what the video is about. It has one of the best soundtracks on the console. It is a truly inspired idea for a game where you have not only platforming elements, but also kind of dungeon crawl elements, and that, of course, is Blaster Master. Blaster Master is kind of one of those core memories for me. One Christmas, I got just a metric ton of NES games, and Blaster Master was one of them. It was a great year. It was that, and Ninja Kid, and probably 7 or 8 other NES games. And my mom, I don't know how she did it. I don't know where she found them, but she was able to give me one of the most memorable experiences of my life. And the standout game from that year was Blaster Master for me. I was immediately enamored with the concept of the title when they kind of started off with that dun da da 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 dun, and you launch Sophia out into the world, and you're in your tank, and then you could hop out of your tank, which blew my mind, and I thought that was just absolutely incredible. And then when you find the doors, you can go into those, and all of a sudden it's a dungeon crawl kind of isometric shooter, and I thought it was so good, and I love that we have that series continuing to this day with the Blaster Master Zero franchise. Man, it's still incredible. It's still fantastic. It's one of those kind of just perfect NES experiences for me. And I actually would go so far as to say that the NES version is better than the modern ones. I actually think it plays better. It's one of those things where when you start kind of muddying up the formula and putting too much ingredients into the soup, and having too many button presses and too many different unlockables and things like that, it kind of loses its soul. I still love the Blaster Master Zero games, don't get me wrong, but the original is the way to go. I love sports games. Everyone knows I love sports games. I talk about them regularly on the channel, and the one for me that is my go-to, my constant, the one that I still play to this day, and this was one of the first games I purchased again when I started buying NES games again, is Baseball Simulator 1000. I'm a big fan of NES baseball games because of their simplicity. I've done a video on ranking every NES baseball game on the channel in the past, And Baseball Simulator 1000 is my favorite. And I know there's something to be said for Baseball Stars. There's something to be said for Dusty Diamond, for the Legends of the Diamond games. There's a myriad of fantastic NES baseball titles out there, but Baseball Simulator 1000 is the one for me. I loved the look. I loved the presentation. I loved the super-powered players that you were able to use in the Pro League. It was something that I'd never seen before. It was something that was taking that kind of core NES baseball gameplay experience, you know, one button to hit, one button to throw. It was something that just it was magical, right? It was just a different kind of implementation of those base concepts that just worked, and I loved it. I still do. Number 7 is a licensed game. And as someone who loves licensed games, I ate really, really, really well on the NES, especially with games from Capcom, whether it was something like The Little Mermaid or Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers or Little Nemo the Dream Master. There were just a ton of amazing licensed games that Capcom put out, but the best, in my opinion, was the original DuckTales. And this one has been rode hard and put away wet. This has been in my collection now forever. And it's something where I loved the cartoon growing up. I loved the music in the cartoon. I loved kind of the idea of Uncle Scrooge taking Huey, Dewey, Louie, and Webigail around and going on these adventures with Launchpad and Gizmo Duck and stuff like that. And it was really something where Capcom absolutely crushed it with capturing that kind of high adventure that's beyond compare. No, those are the gummy bears. But that high adventure experience of world traipsing and just going on these unbelievable Indiana Jones-esque adventures and getting them into a video game, and it worked better than the Indiana Jones games did on the NES. This was the way to go. This was your high adventure. That was your globe trotting, and just it was fantastic. And the different abilities that Scrooge had, like the pogo stick and stuff like that with the cane, was just it was silly, but it was fun and it worked. And I just treasure it. And it's one of those games that's really easy for me to toss in, whether it's the original or it's the remaster that released on the Wii U generation. They're just great. They're fun. They're easy to understand. They're simple to pick up and play. And they're one of those kind of sleepwalk games that you can just kind of toss in and play and beat and not worry about. It's just so great. Such a great game. When I was a kid, I was very fortunate to live in two places that had fantastic public libraries. There was the Cape Coral Public Library down in Florida, and then up in Massachusetts was the Fall River Public Library, which to this day is my ideal of what a public library should be. And the kids section in the Fall River Public Library was incredible. They listened to the kids. They cared. They really did. It was something where I talked regularly about my love of superheroes and how much I loved these kind of like extra powered beings and their abilities and things like that. And the librarian listened to me kind of go on and on and on about discovering the Flash and the Justice League and things like that. And she suggested this book, D'Ailaire's Book of Greek Myths, which I had never read anything about mythology at the time. I knew nothing about it. But she said, you should just read it. You should just try it out, because that's where a lot of those stories kind of stem from. And I had my doubts. I was the ever-knowing 8-year-old. I knew exactly what was going on. And I got the book home and was blown away. Absolutely blown away, and just fell head over heels in love with the concept and the idea and the stories of Greek mythology. And that led to the game in at number 6, which is the Battle of Olympus. There's no Zeldas on this list, and I think you could probably make an argument that The Legend of Zelda 2: The Adventures of Link is a better game than Battle of Olympus, which is basically a Zelda 2 clone. It plays very similarly, and it's almost an identical game, if I'm being honest with you. But there was just something about Battle of Olympus that made me want to pick it up and keep playing. Now, Zelda 2 is my favorite Zelda on the original NES, but there was just something about Battle of Olympus that was more to me. Whether it was, the fact that I got to play as a character I had read about in D'Aulaire's Book of Greek Myths as Orpheus, and going through the different city-states of Greece and fighting different mythological creatures and hearing about the influence of the gods and things that Zeus was doing and Ares was doing. It was a game that was just like the perfect... It was a perfect storm. It was the perfect game at the perfect time. And I still love it. Like this was the first game that I completed complete in box for my NES collection. I was happily just buying cartridges before that, but Battle of Olympus was the one I needed to have CIB, and it was one that I looked for a few years until I found a perfect copy that I wanted, and I bought, and I'm ecstatic to have it because, and it's all because of this book. Like the game itself is great, and I do think it is something that a lot of people may have overlooked and maybe not given the time of day to, and do see it as a Zelda 2 clone, and you're not wrong, like I said, but the emotional ties I have to learning about Greek mythology and learning about that kind of pantheon of beings is directly aligned with when I first started playing Battle of Olympus, and just loved it. Absolutely loved it then, still love it today. All right, this one is one of my favorite games, and I loved it back then. It's another Sunsoft title, so it's got a banging soundtrack. It is one of the best platformers ever made, and it's one that I really wanted to own. And when I first moved up here to Michigan, there was a store here in Kalamazoo called Treasure Quest, and they had some really good options, really good selections. And unfortunately, I think that store is closed now. But one of the games I purchased there was Batman. I mean, the game's awesome. It's a retelling of Tim Burton's Batman, which is excellent. But I wanted to show off why this one is so important to me. And our local hospital here, there's a couple of them, but the big one, the one that had took care of my wife when she was in the hospital last month, and took care of me when I was in the hospital last month, or Bronson Methodist Hospital. And it's really cool to find kind of a relic of a child care ward out in the public for purchase. And when I saw this, it was one that I had to have because, not for any morose reasons or morbid reasons or anything like that. I think it's important to preserve history like this. Like this is on the back of Power Blade. I love rental stickers and video store stickers and things like that. And this is the only time I've ever actually seen one from a child's hospital. So this was like the carts that they used to wheel into kids that were in the hospital so they'd have something to play. And that's really cool and really important. And it just helps that the game is amazing. Like I think this would be amazing if it was like Orb 3D or something like that. But the fact that it is one of the best games on the NES and one of the most fun to play and enjoyable games on the NES with the Bronson Child Life branding on the front and on the back it's just cool to me. I love that the town I'm in was forward thinking enough in the 80s and 90s to make sure that kids were having something fun to play and something that was enjoyable to take their mind off of the situations they were in the hospital. I think it's kind of magical, and I think it's really cool. And I wish I could find more games like that, because I would love to know the breadth of what Bronson did for those kids. But just to have the one I do have is pretty special to me. All right, we haven't had a lot of like super well-known franchises on here, and I didn't include any Castlevanias on here. Castlevania 2 is very close to being on the list, but I couldn't go through this and not include a Mario game, right? And I think if I look at it objectively, I think, yeah, Super Mario Bros. 3 is probably a better game, but it's not the better game for me. Like, objectively, yeah, it's a better game, but the one I go back to the most is Super Mario Bros. 2. I've told the story in the past, and I'll tell it again because I love to hear myself talk. Super Mario Bros. 2 was the first game I ever bought with my own money. My mother worked at a camera shop in the mall, and she found out a way to allow me to help work at the store for a day. And damn the child labor laws, but I was able to work there for a day, and I'm sure it just ended up she paid me out of her pocket to help her. But it was something where I got my money and we went to the Toys R Us that was in Brockton, Massachusetts, and we stopped and we picked up Super Mario Brothers 2. And the drive from Brockton to Fall River, I don't remember how long that was, probably about a half hour or so. Probably it was probably 10 minutes, but it felt like days when I wanted to play my new game. I must have read the instruction manual a dozen times on the drive home, and just imagining all the things I was going to be able to do in Subcon and go fight Wart and stuff like that. It was something that just kind of captured my imagination, and to this day, it's the one that I love the most from the NES games because it was different. It wasn't the same thing. Mario 3 added all the different power-ups and shit like that, which was great, but this was something where it was a risk to slap the Mario characters onto Doki Doki Panic and release it here in the West, when it was something so completely bizarre and alien to what we had grown used to with Super Mario Bros. 1. And I'm so glad they did it because it gave us something really kind of cool and really, really special in the grand scheme of things. And there's still stuff, there's stuff that happened in the game that's still felt today. Like, we have Luigi with his spaghetti legs, where he's able to kind of run in midair, and Peach can float, and Toad is short and fast and strong, but can't jump very high. And then we get characters like Birdo and Shy Guy and all these other amazing characters that were in that game that are now present in the overall kind of Mario cinematic universe. There they are. It's just special. And I think it should be applauded for that. And for me, it is. Like, it's my number 4 game. It's the one that when I hop into the Switch Online service, it's the one I play first. It's the one that I can go through, kind of like previous games in this list that I mentioned. It's an autopilot game where I can just kind of turn my brain off and play, and not really have to think too hard about it because the muscle memory is still there. It's something that I can beat in an hour, using warps and stuff like that. But it's just a special game to me. Another really special one, and this kind of is I think the best role-playing game on the NES, and it was between this or Destiny of an Emperor. And at the end of the day, it really had to be this one, because this is the one that really kind of hooked me and kept me playing console RPGs, and is actually my preferred way to play RPGs today, and it's Final Fantasy. This is... It's great. It really is. Like, I mean, it's there. If I look at it like from 20 feet up, bird's eye view, and look down at it, it's something where I can see the flaws inherent in the design and stuff that was commonplace back then that I wouldn't do today. Like, it is an absolute grind fest, and it can be mind-numbingly boring at times, but it is still something where I love the story, I love the concept, I love the execution. I was enamored with the concept and idea of constructing the perfect party at the start by picking the right members of the party. And it always had to have a thief or a black belt, one of those two. Like, I never understood people that did the fighter, red mage, white mage, black mage. That was madness to me, absolute madness. I always had to have a black belt or a thief in there just because I loved playing both of those classes in that game. And there was just something really cool about the spoilers, if you've never played Final Fantasy here, I guess. the enemy that you first fight in the game being the big boss at the end, I thought was really clever and really cool, and it was something that I thoroughly enjoyed and I thoroughly loved, and still do. Like, it hasn't aged great in a lot of ways, and if I compare it to other entries in the Final Fantasy series, they're probably better than it in a long run, but there's just something special about it, and I can still lose myself in it. Like, it was one of the ones I put the most time into from the Pixel remasters when I got those. It was just fun. It was great to go back and learn about the Warriors of Light again, and to fight Garland, and to find Matoya's cave and all this other stuff. It was just, I just loved it. I still do. I still think it's wonderful. Number 2, this probably doesn't surprise a lot of people, and the accessories of the game do a lot of heavy lifting. Well, no, that's not true. The accessories of the game do significant heavy lifting, but not by bringing up a bad game to make it enjoyable. It takes a great game and just pluses it to the nth degree by making it something that was absolute magic. Like Star Tropics. Star Tropics is number 2 for me. I love this game. I love the kind of RPG presentation of the overworld map when you're doing the exploring and trying to find the dungeons, the different towns and stuff like that. I think that's great. I love the story. I love the idea behind what goes on. And the thing that I think everyone remembers about Star Tropics and why Star Tropics is so special for so many people is, of course, the letter for figuring out how to run the submarine. Because it was a real letter and it was attached to the manual. And I mean, I can show it to you here. Like it was something where the overall idea of having your standard NES manual, but having this strange thing attached to the back and not really knowing what it was, and then figuring out that you had to dip it in water to reveal a secret message was just shattering of the fourth wall, an absolute obliteration of the fourth wall, and kind of the first time I'd really experienced that in media. And now it's one of my favorite tropes. Like, it's one of the reasons I love Deadpool and Harley Quinn so much. I love the idea of just the fourth wall being ignored and just being completely brutalized to the point where it's gone. And it added so much to the game to feel like you had an actual stake in what was going on with Mike's adventure. I loved that. And I still do. And it's still excellent. It's still so much fun. And I will say it does lose a little bit when you are playing kind of the modern releases, like the Switch Online version of it, because you don't have the letter to dip, so you kind of lose out on that experience. But you can find a complete in-box copy with the letter. It's amazing. It's absolutely worthwhile. Favorite, though, for me, my best NES game, what I think is the best of all time, is Mega Man 2. I am, and this should shock nobody, that Mega Man 2 is on here. Yes, Mega Man 3 is a better game. We'll get that out of the way right now. It is objectively a more solid series of design choices than what happened in Mega Man 2. And I don't care, I will pick Mega Man 2 every single time. It was my first exposure to my favorite character in video games. Kind of my first exposure to a run-and-gun platformer that I really got into. Contra was probably before that, but Mega Man's the one I kept going back to. Contra never really hooked me. This one did. I loved the different bosses. I loved the huge variety of level designs and different weapons and power-ups and abilities that you had with Mega Man. I loved Wily's castle. I loved being able to defeat Dr. Wily. It was just, in my opinion, it is a perfect video game. It is the greatest NES video game of all time. It is something that knew exactly what it had set out to do and did it exceedingly well. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I think it's the best NES game ever. That's just my opinion. Like I said at the start, my list is going to be wildly different than yours. I know for some people their favorite NES game is something like ice hockey. And I can't fault you there. I love ice hockey as well. For some people, it's probably The Legend of Zelda. And that's great. It's a wonderful game. It's not there for me, but it's something that I can't fault you for loving it. The only thing I could fault you for loving would be like Wall Street Kid or something like that. Like, no, don't. You're lying. That's not your favorite NES game. Unless you do work on Wall Street and that's just how you warm up your morning. I don't know. But let me know. What are your 10 favorites? What are the 10 best NES games in your opinion? I'd love to hear from you down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please check out Pixel Plus because that's where I stole the idea from. Thank you, Riff, for the permission to do this. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for not only the permission, but the encouragement as well to get this done. Thanks all for watching. Appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. If you really enjoyed it, give it a subscription. And until next time, play more games and stay square.